My best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow, I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. My best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me for. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend. Inside your self-righteous symphony, I would rather let this go than to bring it up again. But
But what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Burly Fishing Podcast live. You know, we were like talking right up to the minute here, but we got a ton of gold to drop for you guys tonight. We got the legend himself here, Steve Big O Parks. Steve, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. If it gets any better, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was just sharing with you about, at my age, you'd think that instead of, I'm thinking, and everybody else is hoping, maybe I'll slow down just a little bit, but instead I keep going, man, I got so many things to do. And, I also look at it like I don't have that much time left. So I've got all these things I got to get, so I'm speeding up,
Yeah.
I'm just kicking it up another gear, and I'm having fun. I really am.
I love it, man. We've got a ton of stuff to talk to. I feel like you guys missed out on a pre-show when we were talking to Steve for the last like 15 minutes, but you're going to get a lot of good stuff here tonight, and we're excited to talk with you, Steve. I know we got lots of good stories and lots of info to help these guys out, getting out on the water, getting out the great outdoors. So here's my sub 90-second intro. You guys ready for this? If you guys like the show, be sure to subscribe, smash a like for Steve Big O Parks, please, and drop a comment below. You can also review us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Give us a 5-star, drop us a comment there, give us some tips, ideas for shows. That really helps us out a lot. And I want to thank all of our members. We are sending out Snorlax Crew shirts very soon. We're hoping to start putting together order in before the 1st of October, so stay tuned for that. But thank you, new members. We got Mike Riley, Burly Bunch Elite, Matt Putnam, Snorlax Crew, there we go, Lisa Saggy, Shirt Deucer, and then we got Bruce Wild on the Snorlax crew. We got renewed members, Mark Terrio, 6 months on the Shirt Deuce crew, dude, that's awesome. Matua Jeff Lauer, my boy up north, 6 months on the Snorlax crew. Pima623, 6 months on the Snorlax crew. You OGs, you guys are awesome. And the official DeBurly hype man _ aka _ Paul's awesome stash, 4 months on the Snorlax crew. And finally, G Fon Kim, the man himself, 5 months on the Snorlax crew. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Super chats are on if you want to show some support, and throw us some questions all episode long. Throw them at Steve. We're going to ask him, and anything you guys want to hear. This guy is heavily involved in the industry. If you don't know that, he knows more than you times 10,000. Okay, so if you want to learn some stuff today, pay attention and ask them questions. Chaz, was that 90 seconds? Did I do it? It was pretty close. Close enough. Q&A. Let's go, Paul.
That was very, very good. So, Steve, I'm sure a lot of that sounded like Spanish. We are very fortunate to have a bunch of folks who have decided to be members of our YouTube channel and have been amazing supporters of our show. So we like to call them out and shout them out beginning. So thank you to all those folks, and thank you to you. I know I already said it once, but I'll probably say it 6 more times. Thanks for
probably
being here today.
10,000 more times.
Oh yeah. Our cue of the D, so kind of like kick things off, slow roll. There's no wrong answer to this question. There are some answers that are better than others, though, but there's no wrong answers to this one. Yep. So the first question that we've got for today is, when let's say you go fishing with somebody, right? You invite somebody out, maybe you know them, maybe you don't, but you've never fished with them before, and they're walking up to the dock, they're about to get on the boat with you. When you look at that person and they're kind of getting ready and they're getting all set up and you guys are getting ready to launch, what makes you think either, oh, this dude's going to be a stick, we're going to have ourselves a fish catching day, or I'm going to be the only one catching fish and I might be setting the hook and handing the rod over? When you're watching someone get ready to fish for the day, what makes you think one of those two things?
Well, the truth is I'm not sure that I ever have really focused on that. I've got, I guided at Fork for years, and I did some guiding on Falcon and Amistad and Choke Canyon and different places, but I really didn't ever look to see if I thought they were a stick. I always wanted to know what their abilities are, because if I know what their strengths are, chances are I can find a place. If I know what I'm doing, I can find some fish that might want to chew for them. But then when we do that and we get them into something, they get relaxed and I find out just what their abilities are. Then I say, hey, have you tried this? Have you done this? If you want to try some of this, I know where there's a great bite, let's say it's a bait bite, or let's say it's a toad bite or a rattling jig. Let's say it's a jig bite. have you ever tried this? I'm on a real big bite on this. Have you tried it? And if they say no, I say, great, you're going to have fun doing this, I promise. And so then
Nice.
what we do, we just go out there and start fishing. And then as you know, instead of saying you're doing that wrong or something like this, you just tell them where to put the bait, and they're watching you. And you keep it now, and you always tell them, if you think you're fishing too slow, slow down a little bit. And then if you're not catching when you slow down a little bit, slow down a little bit more. You know, and that's the main thing. Get everybody kind of slow down, take it easy, start enjoying yourself, and then spend some time talking about the person and then about their world. That's the main thing, because you got to have some type of energy there that's about a friendship instead of about we're out here, you know, search. A lot of people are real intense. They got to, man, where's the fish? Where's the fish? Where's the fish? In fact, I've fished with a bunch of people just like that. And there's a way to tame them, to pull them back, rein them back just a little bit, and get them into the fishing in mode and something that where the fish are really eating. In fact, one of the favorite things is when something that was not a strength of theirs. If it's not let's say it's cranking, it's not a strength of theirs at all. But you know where there's a great cranking bite. If it's not a strength of theirs, really, I've always wanted something that I'm weak at. If you want to be strong, just really strong, you got to be strong at everything. And so learn the new things, you know, the things that try to improve your weaknesses. And if you've got somebody out there that's on a good crankbait bite, then go out there and fish that crankbait, and you will learn how. Those fish will tell you exactly what they want when they eat crankbait. And when you're doing it right, you go, oh, yeah. Then before you know it, you're hot on crankbaits.
It's funny you say that. I just have had that experience in like the last 4 weeks. Like, I've never been a shaky head fisherman. I've never reached for it. I always have them in the box. Never it's never been my thing. About 2 months ago, I was like, you know what? This just seems like dirty water. I need a big old worm, and it's got to be up. And so I was like, all right, the book says shaky head. Caught a dozen fish, and now you look at me like 2 months later, and it's like the second thing I go to grab. So there's definitely something to that. Absolutely.
That might be the best answer that you could have had for this.
That's ideal.
Well, there's a caveat to that. But if let's say a person loves spinnerbait, they love to throw spinnerbaits, and believe it or not, a lot of people think spinnerbait's on its way out. Believe me, it is not. In my world, I can get fish to absolutely chew them, but you know, it's not all the time. But I'm saying that, you know, spinnerbait is a great bite, and I don't see a lot. In fact, I don't see as many people throwing spinnerbaits today as we did back in the day, for sure.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite ways, guys, and this is something that I'm not sure a lot of people do, is flipping them, and it's almost Carolina rigging them. It's dragging them. You fire it out there. You let it get to the bottom. You reel up and set the line, and then you kind of pull it like this, and you feel it bounce over everything. And then you reel up tight, and then you keep moving it like this, and you're feeling it just go over every piece of structure like this. It's just going over everything. Guess what, guys? In my opinion, especially when the fish are up to 10 to 12 foot of water, if they're like 8 to 12 or something like that, man, that's a great bite. And I'll parallel the shoreline, and I'll throw it out there, and I'll get it on the bottom and just start kind of dragging it like that, but not letting it just fall over sideways.
Yeah.
Because if it falls over sideways, a lot of time that hook will get into a limb or a rock or something. Just keep it moving slow. The slower you move spinnerbaits, you just want those blades to spin like this, and then you want it to fall. And then when you're pulling it across some limbs or something, go ahead and do this, because when you do that bait was running like this, then all of a sudden it falls, it flutters, and there it comes again. And a lot of them, when it does this, when it flutters, they smoke it. Some of the biggest fish, biggest, been on 1 ounce spinner. I have to admit, I only have one size spinnerbait.
What?
1 ounce. I know.
Wow. My brain is
We're in Michigan
out of my ears right now.
We're in Michigan, so we might not be able to get away with the 1 ouncer. We might have to go down to like the half ounce.
When I throw a half ounce, I'm like, man, this is big spinnerbait.
Fish are deep, low light conditions, stuff like that. You can throw a big spinnerbait.
That's huge, man. I love it. And just that's such a great answer.
Right.
And drag it. Yeah. Like I've never even, this is what I'm talking about. You guys better be paying attention, taking notes or something here. Real quick before I forget, I don't want to miss you, bud, but Army Outdoors 88N, you the real OG, my friend. $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Cheers to you. And he says, excited for my Snorlax shirt. Paul, do we want to show that on this episode? We want to just show it on the screen?
We can.
Are we saving this?
I think Chaz still has it.
Chaz, do it up. He's going to show that shirt. So if any of you guys want to join, if you're on the Snorlax crew, we're going to send this out just to you guys. But Chaz is going to show you up on the screen. This is artwork between Paul and his brother that we put together. It's up. There it is. Look at that thing and all of its shirt doocy glory. It's purple and green, man. It's the purple and green Ned rig. And Steve doesn't know this, but Steve, we made a shirt. It's called the Ned Rig Nerd shirt. And it says Ned Rig Nerds. And it's just a Ned rig that's split color, purple and green.
There's nothing wrong with Ned rigs. I like them.
Yeah.
I love them.
We have a borderline obsession that is on the edge of unhealthy, but we love our Ned rigs and we have a blast with them. So we made a shirt all about it just for like our members. But Army Outdoors did have a question. I'm going to ask this to Steve, and I'm just going to say Q of the D done because Steve's answer was the best of all time. So we're just going to move forward. But Army Outdoors asks, boat ramp etiquette. Any pet peeves that you have at the boat ramp, Steve?
Sure, there's a lot, I guess. Early in the morning, late at night, turn those headlights off. Just leave the parking lights because a lot of people who are trying to back in or trying to pull in stuff, they're looking at the headlights, and it's kind of hard to do. So, I think the headlights is a big deal for sure. And number two is try to have all of the straps off the boat before you back down the ramp. Try to have the straps off. Now the front strap can be hooked on, of course. And then when you get down in the water, you just unhook it, jump in, you're gone. Now that's a good thing as well. Yeah. But as far as boat ramp etiquette, I think everybody who's proficient or has some experience, who's done this quite a bit, we probably all pretty much have that type of boat ramp etiquette, if you will. But what's a lot of fun is just sit at a boat ramp and watch what happens. I mean, I could spend, especially on heavy mornings. Now, I'm not talking about on the bass tournaments where a lot of people know what they're doing. I'm talking about on the 4th of July or something. Instead of what happens on the ramp. I know what happens because it's happened to me back when I was a kid, and I've seen a bunch of stuff happen, and I just love to watch it. And you want some funniest home videos? Get your camera out, start watching it. I guarantee you're going to have some stuff that'll make everybody laugh. It's good stuff.
That's a get your popcorn situation for sure.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
We should just do a video on that. We
absolutely should.
We just set up a camera on the hood of the truck.
On the boat ramp, and you'll have more fun than anybody that gets out of the water.
Yeah,
because you're not waiting on anyone. 100%.
Chaz, I think we revived the Twitch channel and we just live stream at boat ramps, and we just people watch the whole time. We'll just commentate like sports commentators on the boat ramp.
Hey, this is the truth. My wife and I, she was back in the boat, and I was just a kid. Shoot, I bet I wasn't 19 or 20. We weren't even married yet. But anyway, she's back in the truck down, and she's got the door to the truck open. And we're right on the inside of the ramp, and there's a concrete post in the grass. She can't see. And I'm standing up in the back of the boat, and I'm just getting stuff ready and all the kind of stuff. All of a sudden, that post, the door, she's backing up, and that door hits that post. When it does, of course, it throws me out the back of the boat, breaks the door plumb off. I mean, the truck door falls out there in the grass. And of course, I do a backflip off the back of that boat, and I hit the ramp because we're not even close to the water yet.
Oh no.
I jump up and go, "What the heck are you doing?" And she screams, "I broke the damn door." And I didn't hear it. I just heard her scream. And I said, "Do what?" And she says, "I broke the damn door."
Oh no.
And I go up there and I look, and there's no door on the truck.
Oh my God.
And she says, "I left the door open and it hit that post out there." Yeah. I wish I'd had that on video. Boy, I mean,
wow.
I was scuffed up too, man. That was a good one.
Yeah, if you do a backflip, onto the concrete from the back of the boat, I feel like I hope you would be, because that just proves you're actually human.
And it's a steep ramp, so I kept rolling just a little bit.
So this question will come back later. Did you ever get revenge on the concrete? Like, are you black belting some concrete in half, and that's like your revenge on this boat ramp from way back then?
No, actually, I was born and raised around that boat ramp, so I knew it well, so it didn't surprise me. Of course, I didn't think about it when she had the door. I didn't think about it, but
that's so
I was
funny.
born and raised right there in that area. It's down there on the Brazos River at Kimball Bend area. That was the boat ramp. Fun stuff.
That's awesome.
So you have the infamous nickname of Big O, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but like, first of all, where did that come from? And then how do I get a nickname that everyone recognizes is awesome? Because right now, none of my nicknames are cool, and not everybody recognizes them.
It can't be Big P. I'm sorry.
No, it can't. No, it can't.
Well,
I know your dreams are dashed. Sorry.
One part of your answer is little O doesn't fit. I'm 6'4", big guy, and so back when we were kids, whether it be in athletics and football, I was a big kid. So anyway, there was several Steves on the team, and so they'd say Big Steve, big old Steve, Steve, Big Steve, and there's which Steve, big old Steve. And it kind of started there, but when it really took off was in one of my schools, in a martial arts school, in a karate school. One of the fathers, of course, he was a All-American kicker at TCU, and his son was All-American punter, and his son was actually the child then, and we called him coach, and he had 3 boys. It was my 3 sons. So all 3 of his boys and himself, they were my karate students. Well, in karate class, of course, with children, a good instructor calls them Mr. I don't care if he's 5 years old. This Tony Biasotti coach, if I talk to him in class, it'd be Mr. Biasotti. I don't care if he's a white belt. I don't care what his rank is. And his child, little Matt Biasotti, I'd call him Mr. Biasotti, because what I give is what I receive. We teach respect by being respectful, and what the children see is what they receive. So anyway, of course, in class, everybody's Mr. Well, outside of class, Tony and I are best friends, and we're fishing fork all the time. I mean, we're just fishing. I mean, we just love bass fishing. So when the kids, they said, Dad, are you going fishing? He said, yeah. He said, who are you going with? And he said, Steve. And he said, who's that? He said, who? And he says, Steve, big O Steve. And so the kids picked up Big O. And when they picked up, then the kids at the class, outside of class, of course, in class, they always say Mr. Parks, but outside of class, they go, you're Big O. I heard my dad call you Big O. And so the kids tell all the kids, he's Big O. That's his real name. So anyway, and I don't care. Whatever they want to call me, just call me. But they're 40 years old. So, hey.
So what you're saying is I need to trick a whole bunch of kids into calling me the same thing. And then that'll be my nickname.
That'll get done.
I love it.
Oh, no. I can just see the gears turning in your brain right now.
It's not ideal. So
it's not a good situation.
You talked a little bit about karate, and I think that I want to bring that up a minute, because I think it really exemplifies like what kind of drew us to you and wanted you to be on the show. Is like everything you do like 100 out of 10. Like, you don't just become a fishing guide. You guide fish. You become a lure designer, and then ultimately, you, in your free time later on, when you've sort of retired from all the work stuff, you decide to build a place to go, bring people to go fishing, which is where you're at right now at your ranch, right? Like that's 100 out of 10. You're all in. And it seems like karate was the same thing. And you didn't just like do karate. You didn't just teach karate. You're in the USA Masters and World Hall of Fame for being legendary at karate. So what came first, fishing or karate?
For sure fishing, because my father loved to fish, and he was the one who really got me into the sport, and he loved it. I mean, he was real passionate about it, and of course, so I become passionate about it. And we had folks down in Alabama too. My mother's family was from Florence, Alabama. She was actually born on the riverbank of the Tennessee River. She was born, this is crazy. She was lived in a streetcar. There was an old streetcar that they tumbled off the side. Yeah, no kidding. And her dad set that streetcar up, and that's what they lived in on the side of the Tennessee River for 6 years. And she was actually born in that streetcar. And then they moved from that to a mining shack that was dirt floors on the Tennessee River, right there in Florence, Alabama, outside of Florence, Alabama. So
Wow.
mother's brother, her father passed when she was like 12 or 13 years old. And she was the second oldest, and her oldest brother was just 1 year older, but they were all river rats. So that's what they did. They made their money. They went out and fished for money. And my mom's mom, my grandmother, she was a washwoman on those scrub boards with the ringers. And, that's what she did for other people. She washed clothes for them. After her husband died, she had to try to make money. And so the kids went and started fishing because they had friends that were cat fishermen and commercial fishermen on the rivers. So I had these uncles when I was young that were commercial fishermen. So they would throw me in the boat with them. Of course, I want to go all the time. I mean, I was pretty, I was pretty ADD, if you will. I had all the D's. And anyway, so I'm gone, man. I'm gone with them fishing. And then one day, my uncle, he had this little Shakespeare rod with a little Shakespeare reel. I still got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had a supersonic and a Bayou Boogie. And so we're trolling those on Pickwick, right there,
Yeah.
Pickwick Dam. And I catch a 3-pound largemouth. Well, I think I am Superman, because I can fast. And then the next thing you know, I catch about a 2.5-pound smallmouth. And I thought, and I am Superman fisherman, And so I decided, so that's where I really got the hit for fishing. And so I wanted to go back to to Alabama and fish all the time on the Tennessee River. And then my dad said, "Oh, no, son, we can fish up here in Texas." And I said, "Okay," because we lived up here just south of Fort Worth. And sure enough, we went to some small lakes, Benbrook Lake, and a bunch of little lakes like that. And we started fishing, and I was catching fish, and I was having fun. But when I was like 12 or 13, I caught one that was almost 9 pounds. And then I decided, okay, man, I am big bass crazy. And so I start asking around, where are the biggest bass in the world? And they say, so at 14 years old, I had a hardship license, because we were just poor kids, country kids. And I had a hardship license, but I also had a pickup. And I also bought a John boat, 12-foot John boat. And I had a 5-horse Isca crank motor. And then I also had a little trolling motor and 2 batteries. Anyway, I threw them in the back of my truck, and I told my dad, I said, "Dad, you want to go to Florida with me?" He says, "I can't go." And I said, "Well, I'm going to Florida this weekend." I had a 3-day weekend, went down there and went fishing. And sure enough, I found some big fish, and it was in Tallahassee, Florida, right at Lake Jackson. There was more in 1960, in the 60s, there was more big bass caught in Lake Jackson than any other lake in the world.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and I heard about that. And when I heard about it, this is late 60s here. I'm gone. Adios. I'll see you later. So I was down bass fishing. I caught a bunch of good fish. I called my dad. Of course, we didn't have mobile phones then. I called him on one of those crank phones, and I said, "Dad," I said, "there's more big bass down here than I can catch." Well, it wouldn't really. I wasn't that good into them, but I was into them pretty good. And so sure enough, he comes down, and buddy, we started laying waste to them. We were catching a bunch of them. So I just went nuts. And from then on, I even bought property down there when I was 17 so that I could, I did.
Wow.
Hard working, hard driving kid.
No, dude, what were you, what job were you doing?
At 9 years old, I had a lawn business. I had a lawn care business. I had a bicycle and a lawnmower and a gas can. And I was a good mechanic too. I could fix any lawnmower, any bicycle in town, And I had 27 lawns by the end of my 9th birthday, And then I started, look at this. Then I started cleaning driveways and old clunkers. People have, I'm driving up and down the street with my little bicycle, and I'm seeing these old clunkers, and I'm going, that car hadn't moved in a long time. It's got oil running out from under it. I'd tell them I pay that if they pay me $1, I'd clean all that oil off their driveway, and then I'd find out where it was leaking and tell them where the leak was. So sure enough, some of them bet on that. So I'd clean the driveway and I'd find where the leak was. And then I had another friend who lived down the street. He was an older man, of course. and he was a mechanic. And I'd tell him, and I've got a friend, Dave, who can fix your car if you want it fixed. Well, if they didn't want to fix it, then I'd tell them, well, I want to buy your car. And they say, what? I say, yeah, I'll give you $300 for that car. And if I told the woman, I know this is off subject, guys, but look.
This is great.
I love it.
Lady of the house, I'd say, I'll give you $300 for that car if you'll tell your husband. And she'd go, okay. She'd tell her husband, and all of the husbands said, no, I'm not going to sell that car. And then a couple of weeks later, I give him my number. I tell him, well, I just live right up here. And so a couple of weeks later, she'd ask him again, are you sure you don't want to sell that car? It's just sitting out there. It's not worth anything. He'd say, I'll take $350 for it. They'd call me and they'd say $350. They call my mom's house. And they'd say, that little boy up there, he wanted to buy this car. We'll sell it to him for $350. She said, well, okay, here you. I'll put him on the phone. And then I go down there and buy it for $350. I'd take that car, take it over to Dave's. Dave would teach me how to work on it. And then we'd fix the car, and then I'd sell it for like $550 or $600. I make quite a bit of money on it.
Oh my
I
God.
kept doing this stuff, and before you know it, man,
You're buying property in Florida.
I was buying property in Florida so I could bass fish.
Dude, what were you like at 9, Paul?
I am hilariously embarrassed with my childhood. I played with like Batman action figures. I didn't do a freaking thing.
Dude, I was drooling in my PJs watching cartoons on Saturday morning. Like
back then, guys. I mean, I had a tumbleweed for a pet. I mean, you couldn't feed them. We couldn't afford to feed them. I mean, my mom and dad had 6 kids. They had 6 mouths to feed.
Yeah.
My mom made all of our clothes. I came up right. But the fact is, we were talking earlier, Paul, about taking things to the highest level. Well, I think my old karate instructor, dear Mr. Billy Bramer, he told me one time, he said, look, Steve Parks, he said, you've got a lot of things going for you. And he says, number one, you're a passionate individual. When you really believe in something, he says, you go after it. He said, that's great. He says, but the key, after you get that passion, you need to prepare yourself, and you need to prepare yourself unending. He said, just everything is about preparation. And he says, then after you get into whatever that is, keep preparing, because there's more. And no matter how high you go or how far you go in it, your preparation has got gives you momentum. You've got it's kind of like stored fuel. Your preparation is the fuel that you're going to use to take you to the next. You don't have to stop and get more fuel. You already got it. You've been doing it this whole time. And so you just keep going. And the momentum is absolutely the most important part of it. Once you get momentum, it's like you go, I'm going to get there. And there's nothing. And you won't let anything keep you from reaching the very highest level. And then Mr. Bramer said preparation, or passion, preparation, and perseverance. Those 3 P's, he said, will take you to the highest levels of anything and everything in your life. And one of the things that I love to tell young parents when they say, Mr. Parks, is martial arts is really good for children, isn't it? And I said, the truth is, if they have a great instructor, yes. If they have a great teacher. I said, but one of the most important things that we can learn in martial arts is the key to success. The keys to success are right there in a martial arts school. And it's so simple because, Paul, when you were a child, and if you said, I want to take karate, well, the first thing for you to do is make that decision. And number 2, go in that karate school. You've made a decision, and now what are you going to do? The instructor is going to start you off, and guess what? You're going to have a white belt. He's not going to try to teach you the things that a black belt is supposed to know. He's going to teach you what a gold belt is supposed to know. And then once you get that gold belt, that's a step on the ladder. And then it's another step. And then you look back and you go, hey, I've done this. You're starting to understand. You're starting to get the momentum. But your next goal is to be an orange belt. Your dream is still there. That's that black belt. So what are you doing? You're preparing yourself to get that black belt, but you're preparing step by step. You're reaching attainable goals. And what's your next step? It's green belt. And then it's blue belt. And then whatever the belts are in that particular system, You just keep going, and before you know it, you're way up this ladder, and you turn around and look, and there's other people climbing up that ladder with you. And guess what? They're looking at you. So you become an example for them to follow. Well, I don't want to set a bad example. I'm going to set a good example. So I'm going to be the best that I can be so that they know that it's worthwhile. But I know my dream is there. And then once I attain that dream, that black belt, whatever, if that's the dream, once I attain that, I step in the line of these black belts. Now I am one of them. And I realize I've only just begun. I've only just begun. Mr. Bramer was 30 plus years in martial arts longer than me. And here I am standing in line with him. And I go, oh, to be like him. And what does he do? He comes over and he says, Mr. Parks, do you have another dream? Because I've just reached this dream of becoming a black belt. And he knows. And once we achieve our black belt, we use that same recipe for success to apply it to everything we do in life. And here's another thing about being in martial arts. You start as 10th degree, which is like white belt, you know, there you are, a little 10. Then at 9, you're a little gold belt and orange belt, and then you're green, and then you're 8th and 7th and 6th and 5th. And well, you need to get to that 1st degree black belt. There's where you want to get to. So 4th in our some of our styles, American karate, 4th is brown, and 3rd is brown, 2nd's brown, and 1st is first brown. That's the toughest boy in the school is usually that first brown because he's hungry. He wants his black belt. Well, then you become a 1st degree black belt. Well, guess what? Then you go from 1st to 2nd to and you go to 10th again. After 50 plus years, you become, if you're lucky and you're blessed and you've stayed in the martial arts for that long, you become the 10th. But what have you done? You've just gone full circle. So you realize it was never about you at all. It was about them. It was never about how good of a martial artist I could be. It's how many people I can help to reach the same level of success and help them to feel good about themselves and have great confidence and great, have not just a great self-image, to believe in themselves. And that's one of the great things about good teachers. You guys have young children, I promise you, you should be the very best teacher that your child will ever have. And as fathers and mothers as well. But this is also something that I learned. If I can first believe in my child, then my child can truly believe in themselves. But without somebody instilling a belief system in that child, really they walk around in this fog of understanding. But when a parent, of course, the children, they parent is all they know, what they truly love. If you're a great parent, God bless you for sure. But this parent is all that child, they look up to you all the time. Well, guess what? Moms have they have the toughest job ever. The child expects mom's going to make their clothes, take care of feed them, do this, clean their rooms and all this kind of stuff and help them do all. That's what they expect from mom. What do they expect from you guys? Nothing. You know what they expect from you? They don't. They hope. Everything about the father, they hope. They hope their father loves them. They hope the father provides for them. They hope their father's going to be their security because that's what they see you as. So we got the easiest job in the world. We're supposed to be, sure, you're supposed to be as a father, but we're also supposed to be their biggest cheerleader and the one biggest support system. How are you doing? How'd you do today? Did you have fun? Oh, good. Show me what you did. All this kind of stuff. Show an interest. Tell them how great they are. Tell them how much you believe in them. Tell them how they're their greatest child. You're their greatest son. You're the greatest daughter that I could ever have. Because guess what? They get their belief system. They get their opinion of themselves from you. Now, moms can give that if the dad's not in the home to take care of that. But dads have the biggest opportunity to set the most positive example to their children if they will just do it. So I know that's off the subject of hunting and fishing and all that stuff, but
I think it's right on subject because, you talked about being a guide, right? And how you approach, like, oh, when someone walks up to the boat ramp, I don't really, what I think about what they can or can't do doesn't really matter. Like,
Not
that's
gonna
not
size
really,
them up and beat them up and make them feel bad like some guides do.
yeah.
Help them
My
to have
job is
more
to,
fun. Help them to have more fun fishing.
Yep.
Learn more about fishing and something that's, and now they're interested. Now they knew what they were good at and they got to go do what they were good at, but they also learned something else that was great and that was fun and they want to know more about it. And give them your number and tell them, hey, if you ever need any more help, give me a call. Or if you ever want to do this, hey, there's some other ideas I want you to check out, like flipping spinnerbaits. If you want to see that sometime, come on. I'll take you out here for nothing. Come on. I always have time for that.
well, and then all of a sudden you got their wallet, but yeah, 100%, man.
Well, you give them the bug though, and they're all on board, man. I love it.
And
Well,
then guess what, guys? Your legacy is not in what you've done for yourself or anything like that. It's what you've passed on to others. And because where is the gift? The gift was from you to them. And they received that as a true gift. And then what did they say? I got to show you something that somebody showed me one time. This guy named Big O showed me how to do this, da, 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 da. But a lot of their effects of their life have come from you making positive impacts in their lives. Now, can you do that in one fishing trip with one client? Yeah, you can. But you can make a lot better impact if you keep track of them, ask them how their families are and how their children are, and be a good source of support, moral support for them.
Of all the guys that I think I'd probably want taking me out, I think I want one that was trained by Big O because I feel like, I'm actually going to learn something. I'm going to have a heck of an experience. So that's unbelievably insightful.
I promise you, I don't know everything for sure. I know far from everything. In fact, today, I was sitting right there on that couch and Kevin Van Dam calls and says, hey, Big O. I said, yeah. He says, you know that bait we were talking about at Etiquette? And I said, yeah. He says, have you thought any more about it? And I said, yeah, I've already got halfway designed. And I said, but I've got 3 other questions for you. He said, well, shoot. And so we started talking about these other 3. And people, I want to tell you something. I tell you, I'm the most blessed guy in the world. I get to do the things that I love to do. I'm so passionate about designing and all this kind of stuff, whatever. All these things I get to do. But I promise you, I've got people who have so much knowledge, so much history, so much ability, and they're helping me design these things, get these ideas, and all this kind of stuff. I've got the best group of pros in the world. And of course, they're all just genuinely great guys. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's helped me is to surround myself with really good people. I try to find the best of the best. And I say, let's get down and let's have a little think tank idea about what we're going to do next.
Yeah, if you've got
what we can come up with. Yeah.
You got Kevin Van Dam calling you, giving you feedback on a bait. I think you're definitely surrounding yourself some anglers. I mean, he's a Michigan guy, so you already know he's good. I mean,
well, he's the GOAT for sure. But guess what? There's a lot of baits. It's like the cutter worm.
Yeah.
That was Kevin. Kevin said, hey, Big O, can you da, 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 da? And I said, yeah, I've got one similar to that right now. And he said, let me see it. And he sees it. Oh, yeah. Can you make it this and make it this long? And I go, sure. So what do? We take that, and believe it or not, we canvass that, not just from Kevin, but through Danny and Shaw and through Greg Hackney and Andy Montgomery, all the guys, Mark Rose, every one of them, all the marks. We got 3, Mark Menendez, Mark Davis. So all the marks. So we canvass this through everybody, and we have these little sit-down think tanks, And we get off the subject kind of like we do in this little interview, but I promise you, we get down and dirty and find out some good ideas on baits, and it's fun.
Well, if you guys haven't seen the video that we did with iCast with Steve, I highly recommend you check it out. I remember walking into that booth, a striking ridgetail booth, walking in and having an aha moment, because I walked in and I know my favorite striking baits that I've used, and I know that I've got the ridgetail and I got the ridgetail minis and all that, and I know what I like. Steve started breaking down some of the, what I had kind of glossed over on the plastic side, and like the cutter worm, the mini one, the Ned style, and walking through all of the things that, again, I just like glossed over and didn't even recognize. And all of a sudden I'm like, loading up my tackle warehouse cart because I'm realizing what I never even realized was sitting right in front of me, right? And he talked about the process that he gets to go through with a lot of these pros, and the pros we're talking about they're on the Strike King team, right? They're on the Rachel team. They're people who are signed on to a team to work with guys like Steve and design baits that are going to work, that are exactly what they want them to be. They're the guys who are kind of like hiding what they're doing in the boat. They don't want you to see what plastic they're using, and all of a sudden 6 weeks later, next season, that plastic that they were hiding and trying not to show you, maybe in their hoodie pocket or whatever, is all of a sudden it's on the shelf. It's there for you to buy. And that's kind of that's the surrounding yourself with great people. That's the secret sauce he's talking about, which I think I'm jealous of, obviously. But one question I wanted to ask was, like, I've heard the story. I've heard you tell the story online a couple of times and in some videos about coming up with the your first bait, right? The one that kind of you own the patent for and kind of puts you on the map. I want you, if you can, talk a little bit about like that first, that first bait. But then I'm almost more curious to hear more about sort of, that story I think is amazing, but how you decided to like actually physically go make that bait and then decided to go get the patent, and then all of a sudden it's in front of Strike King, right?
Yeah.
How did that whole thing go?
Well, what actually happened, guiding on fork, and in the early days of fork, it was impounded in 80, something like that. 81, 82 is when I started spending time on the water, and it was nothing but trees. And then within 2 years, it was hydrilla everywhere. If you guys have fished grass before, hydrilla is our favorite grass. So it was totally loaded with hydrilla. So in 85, I started guiding, and this was back in the heyday. I promise you, it's heyday of fork, and a lot of people remember it, especially if you're old like me. And what it was is, guys, during the day you could catch 100 fish a day without a problem, and you could catch up like 6 and 8 and 8 pounders and 9 pounders and stuff like that. And it was just awesome. 100 fish a day.
Wow.
And then listen to this, in 86, I got this skin cancer, so I had to have some cancer growth. So I decided I'm going to start fishing at night. And from March, April, May, June, and into July, those 5 months, I started fishing at night. And there were so many nights that it was 250 plus fish. And it was on top waters, the buzz baits and spinner baits, black spinner bait.
Wow.
We were absolutely hosing them and catching a lot. I promise you, we would average over 1 10-pounder every night. Average. Some nights we'd have 3. Some nights we wouldn't have any. The next night we'd have 2, and the next one 1. But we'd always had a lot of big fish. And why at night? I can tell you why at night. Because when you've got hydrilla, the fish are in that hydrilla during the daytime, when the sun's up and all this kind of stuff. They're up there in that hydrilla. Well, so is the bait, they're on. And so what happens is the bass at night, the bait comes out of that hydrilla because it's dark. They think I've got camo, and all this kind of stuff. So what do the bass do? They get right out on the edge of that hydrilla on the grass. And they're sitting right in the edge of, you got a grass bed like this, and they're sitting right in the edge of it. And what they do is they wait for the bait to come, and they just eat. Well, that's the perfect place to throw top waters, spinner baits, and things like that, is to fish the grass lines and right over the pockets, because everything, they're not so scared because they have darkness. And so it was great. It was awesome. So anyway, the buzz baits were the best, seemed to be one of the most fun and exciting bites. Everybody that's fished top waters, we love it. It's great. Mm-hmm. And catching some giant bass on buzz baits, everybody wants to go. And I promise you, I couldn't keep up with all the people. It was so good. So anyway, what was happening is the people, now, if you're not real proficient with the buzz bait, and you fire it up in there and you're not sure exactly, it's dark. So you can't see all that grass and stuff way up in there, So when you fire it up there, if you don't hit that reel and set the thing in gear as soon as it touches that water, a lot of times it's going to get all trashed up or grassed up.
Yep.
And then you're just going to be dragging hydrilla on your buzzbait back, and you're not going to catch anything. Well, so what I decided, okay, I've got clients who aren't real proficient at that. And a lot of them couldn't see the grass lines, and they couldn't, How many of us have got on the shoreline and paralleled the shoreline with square bills or something like that, or just parallel the shoreline, spinnerbaits and stuff, and you can catch a lot of them. Well, you parallel those grass lines like that, and you can hose them at night. So anyway, back then it was just remarkable. So anyway, they're getting trashed up so much, so I decided I need to make soft plastic that will come across that grass and move as much water as a half-ounce buzzbait. And so I designed the Raid Shad. And so after I designed the Raid Shad, of course, there's other baits that I wanted. And the deal is it comes from need. When you need something and you realize what is a creator, what is always good. But what if it's always better? Are you passionate enough? And are you prepared? And will you persevere? Are you persistent enough to work through that to find what is better? Well, that's what all creation is about. It's just, of course, some of it's out of need, of course, and some of it's just by chance. But the truth is we can create all types of new things that are very much needed in our societies today, just out of looking at something and going, if you're passionate about something, you can possibly figure out a better way to do it. Now, not that you need to get a patent on it or you're going to get a patent and all this kind of stuff, but you know how this goes. So anyway, I designed all these baits, crawls and all this kind of stuff. And then one of my clients was Randy Dearman. Randy Dearman's one of the past striking. He's still a pro. He fishes out of Central Texas now, East Texas. And he was a good friend of mine, and he came out and we fished all the time. He said, Big O, you got to show this to Strike King. And I said, I'm not showing anything to anybody. I said, people get to use it, it's people in my boat. Catch more fish than anybody, and I want to make sure we keep it that way. And so, sure enough, but I was having to make my own baits, and I was having to shoot them one at a time, And I made plaster Paris molds.
So that's what I wanted to know. Yeah. How in the hell were you like?
Let me tell you something. The craziest thing. Have you ever seen the Rage Shad tail?
Mm-hmm. You know, the flange, right? And it's like it's perpendicular to the body.
You know how I made it? I made it. Y'all seen these little they're made of the aluminum candle holder. It's about this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little candle.
Yeah.
Well, if you take that out, and what you do is you heat plastic up. Well, what I was doing was turning that little tin, that little aluminum over, and I would dish the back side of it with a butter knife or something, and just dish it to where it had a little dish in it, and then turn it over and the little dish is up like this. Then what I'd do is I'd pour plastic in there, and it would make that little dish so it'd make a rim around the bottom, but I couldn't get the rim around the top. So what I decided to do is as it cooled, the plastic would try to climb up the sides of the aluminum. So I put it in cold water, and sure enough, the plastic climbed up those sides, so it made those flanges on both the tops and the bottom. So then I took that; it's exactly the same size as those little candles. So I take that, cut it, make it, and put it on vertical on a bait, and then take it on top, and boom, here we go. There were about 21 designs and stuff, and then I make a plastic press, and here we go. So that's the way. And guess what? Now here's a good one: the Rage Toad.
Okay.
Guess what the feet of the Rage Toad are?
What?
Coors bottle cap. I did the same thing. Yeah, Coors bottle cap.
Ingenuity.
Hollowed it out like this. Set it over in cold water. Fill it up with plastic, and it climbs up one side. It's deep in the other side. It's already hollowed out, and then you take that, put the split on it, put it on the back of the toad, and here we go.
Dude, I don't care what
ingenuity at its finest.
Everyone else can just give up now. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that is.
You guys
amazing.
aren't trying hard enough. I just want everybody to know.
So then Strike King saw the shad, and then you had already started designing a bunch of other baits. So it wasn't like you had one bait that one guy thought was cool. You had a number of baits. Now, did you own the patent for those baits? Like at that point when you went to start to talk to Strike King for the first time?
I was patenting the baits.
So you had the patent in, and that takes.
What happened is I got kind of scared because here I was fishing at night on Fork, nobody had seen the stuff except my guys, whoever's fishing with me. Of course, they couldn't have any of those baits after they leave my boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, give me those baits. So anyway, and what happened, of course, I'm using 3rd generation night vision at one time, and I'm running no lights, no nothing. Because otherwise you turn your lights on, people gonna follow you everywhere. So I just turned them lights off, man, I'm gone. And then I got pulled over by the game warden. And he comes up and he looks in my boat and he goes, man, I never saw that. Where'd you get that? And I realized this guy's a fisherman. And then he's asking me, hey, I've never seen that before. And he said, how'd you do that? And I said, I'm going to have to. So Randy Dearman said, Big O, you're having to make your own bait. Strike King will make them for you if you'll just take. And so I went and talked to Strike King. Sure enough, we got together and they saw what we had and they said, hey, let's rock. And I said, let's do it. And so sure enough, we got to work together and it was fun. And it's been fun ever since, guys.
That's how long have you been with them?
Since 05.
Wow. You just got so sick of like injecting your own baits. That's the only. I love that. That's the only reason.
And John Barnes, the president of Strike King at that time, he said, Big O, what kind of deal you want to work? And I said, first of all, John, I said, you got to make me all the baits I want to fish with. And he says, well, I think we can handle that. And I said, okay. And then we started getting down to the nitty gritty and started figuring things, put things on the paper and figured some stuff out, make it good for both of us. And everything went great after that.
Guys, love that.
I'll tell you something. It's wonderful when you team up with people who are as passionate and as prepared and have the guts to persevere, to reach the top, to go all the way, no matter what it takes. Go. There's no backing up. It's all or nothing. It's no backing up. It's okay to pause and take a breath. It's okay to take a nap. It's okay to pause and get your bearings, but don't quit. Keep going. You'll get there. And that's happened through my entire life. Everything that I ever decided I'm going to do that, I've been able to do it just by those 3 P's. And I've had great mentors to help me through the world. And I look back at all of them. They're all gone now. One of them is in a retirement home in Colorado, which reminds me I need to call him tomorrow. But anyway, these people are, they're just God's gift to us. And the deal is I'm the lucky guy that's been able to have, I would feel fortunate if I had 1 mentor, much less 5. And I've had these 5 guys that just pour their heart into me. And I see, they believe in me. Remember, if I can believe in my child, they can believe in themselves. I had these 5 different people who believed in me. And so I was really, set. It's like the armor. They were putting the armor on me is what they were doing. And guys, it's been but I promise you, anybody you ever talk to about me that knows me really well, I'm 20 hours a day and I still am. And I will be until they throw dirt on me. And why? Because I don't have time to slow down yet. I got a lot of things to do. And I promise you, I've got momentum. And this momentum means a lot. It really means a lot to me. And I say, as long as I'm busy, I'm staying busy. Let's go. Let's get her done.
I love it, man.
Yes, but I still get her done.
No, you guys have an awesome team. Like Paul and I were lucky enough when we were down there at ICAST to meet a bunch of you guys. And I mean, shoot, you guys were in and out of meetings like all heckin' day. I mean, we were talking before we went live on the show. Paul and I, we thought we worked hard. Like we literally ran 400-meter repeat sprints like around the friggin' convention center, which was insane. But we were talking to everybody. Like you said, we got to move around. You guys were just talking to customers and clients and like you're all over the place. But it was really cool seeing all you guys in action, and then also everybody unwinding at the end of the night every night was also a blast. Getting some other conversations going. But man, yeah, you guys. Who did we talk to, Paul, that walked us through the baits? He was a newer guy.
Oh,
Lucas,
from Michigan too.
Yeah.
It wasn't Matt, I don't think.
Was
but,
it Lucas? Did you say, Steve?
Lucas probably.
Sounds about right.
Good
He
kid,
had a
great
hand.
products, good kid.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
those
he's
guys are great new guys. I mean,
yeah.
we've all had great people, but boy, they have enlisted a bunch of really good ones, and I'm really
Yeah.
proud of the kids. They are smart and they are energetic. They are very energetic. Exactly what we need. New blood.
I love it. Yeah, I think he had his hand on one of your newer colors with the chick magnet, or he was helping out with the chick magnet, which was, yeah, that was really cool. What do you call it? Tomato soup? Is it?
That's it.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid color. I like it. Real quick before we move on, we just got a new member to the Snorlax crew. So welcome aboard, Dominic McDonald. Heck yeah, man, just in time. Shirt's coming soon. All right. Carry on, Paul.
I do have another question. So one thing you talked a little bit about like young blood, especially on the striking side of things, and I think we've already talked about it, like the things that have changed in fishing, right? Like you're talking about, you made your own molds out of what you had in your house, right? You did it all on your own, and you see folks now, like if they want to get a mold made, 2021. You can go out to Do It Molds and be like, hey, look, this is what I want to get, and you can go get a mold, like an actual maybe a 6 bait, 20 bait mold, and you can inject it out of your microwave, like almost professional level plastic. I mean, you want to make your own hooks, you can go buy a mold tomorrow, and you can be pouring your own hooks and then painting them yourself. And we've got folks in the chat that design their own baits. We've had people on our show that paint their own baits, and you can go out to Google and you can find blanks that are, you can find anything. I mean, the difference is unbelievable. And so I guess what I wonder is when you look at like everything that people have today, right? Like, nobody that I know, has river rat kids growing up in a container by the Tennessee River, right? Like that's not it's just not what it was. I mean, like, that's just not what it was. It's not what it was. And so I wonder when you look at what everyone has today and you see all the opportunity that's out there for folks to go grab, what do you think of the folks that you meet at ICAST in 2021? What do you think of the people that you meet in industry in 2021? And how does that kind of compare to what your experience was, growing up in fishing?
Well, great question for sure, especially since the age difference and the times different. And, we did not have these. We didn't have computers. We had none of this. We had no social media. We had none of this. We had nothing to consume our brain and consume our time and stuff like this. So what were we? River rats. We our like I said, our pet was a tumbleweed, if you will. But anyway, our fishing rod was a willow stick. I mean, that's what we started with when we were fishing. And then, but we learned it the hard way for sure. But at the same time, today is such a great time to be alive and be in fishing. And one of the greatest people in bass fishing ever in the history, in my opinion, was Ray Mursky. He was when Charles Spence is a guy who started Strike King, and then Ray Mursky was the really pushing force that marketed and made it and created this huge, gigantuan company and this wonderful company of striking. And he was also smart enough to grab all the best talent that he could find here and there and everywhere. But Ray Mursky was the guy that would say it's all or nothing, totally in or get out of the way. And his ability to see what was coming was just awesome. And I remember back in like 08 or 09, he says, hey, Big O, come here, I got to talk to you. I said, yeah. He said, what's happening to our industry? And I said, you talking about the money? And he goes, yeah. He says, it's cost so much for people to get into bass fishing nowadays. He said, the industry's kind of, I said, Ray, you know as well as I do, the best thing for this industry and hunting industry and sports in general is the youth. I said, we've got to reach the youth. We've got to go to the kids. We got to get the kids interested. And I said, a perfect example, Ray, is why do I love bass fishing and hunting and the outdoors so much? Yeah, I was raised in hunting and fishing and outdoors, but my dad used to get Outdoor Life, Sports Field and Stream and stuff like that, or the old magazines, and he used to read them to me. And there was some kids columns. There are little columns in there that you could do this. It's kind of like interactive for kids and stuff. Well, guess what? When I was grown, I started getting Field and Stream and Sports Field and Outdoor Life. Why? Because that's what I was raised with. My daddy used to read those stories to me, and he would read the little funny things and all that kind of stuff about it. And that was so interesting to me. So I just kept doing that in the future. Well, it's because I had a love and a, understanding and a passion for that when I was a child. So what did I do? I was fishing all the time. I was hunting all the time, big in both sports. When I get a fishing license, hunting license, I get the total package. I pay for the whole thing. Why I want to give that money is, it's good for our system and good
conservation, man. North American model. That's what's keep. You got to protect that resource, 100%.
That's right. What you love, you support. So here we do this, and I think that getting the kids involved probably had the biggest impact in our industry than anything. And it's great. It's great. And
well, it's amazing the difference between fishing, duck hunting, and deer hunting, which are kind of like your big three, right?
Yeah.
And they're like that's kind of like when people talk about like what do you do outdoors, you're probably doing one of those things.
That's right.
And deer hunting, there's a problem with getting kids involved.
Sure.
It's new kids. Like they've got legacy, but getting new kids involved is difficult. Because a lot of times talking about guns, and even when you're talking about bows, it's a weapon. So there's a barrier there that the parents are what gets you over most times.
Yep.
And so getting that, then you're talking about getting 30 somethings into it in addition to getting kids, and it's tough. And that is something that they're trying to do right now. Like their new motto, is certainly recruitment. Is they got their 3 R's, right? And one of the biggest R's is recruitment. That is the biggest one for hunting. And duck hunting, they got the same problem. I mean, getting kids getting jazzed up about getting up at 2 a.m. to go chase teal that you can't shoot. I mean, that's a big ask for it's a big ask for a middle schooler, right? So it's 100%. Fishing does not have that problem. Fishing did to your point, totally changed the industry, and let's get a Zebco in their hands, right? And that changed. I think that you're right. That changed a ton for fishing, and kind of. I don't think fishing has that problem, not like hunting does.
Not like the rest of them do, that's for sure. And all of the outdoor sports, for sure, we need that. But it's hard to compete, It's hard for these parents to compete, to get the kids outdoors and stuff. But the truth is when we start early enough and we get these kids outdoors, we take them hunting, we take them, when you take them fishing, first thing you want to do is get them throwing rocks in the water. That's fun. Let's throw rocks. Let's have fun. Let's get some rocks across the water. It's all the stuff that's going to be something that's a game and make it fun for the kids. And but getting them into the hunting realm, it's the main thing is get them outdoors, take them camping, do this, do that. Also, eating.
Gotta have snacks, man. Gotta have snacks.
We're gonna have snack. We're gonna go. If we shoot a rabbit, we're gonna have a rabbit.
Yep. Get a taste for it.
Yep.
Well, it's funny you say that. We just I'm fortunate to have a lot of opportunities to take my kid fishing, and we did a fish fry, and he was holding a bag full of bluegill, like getting them out of the fridge, and he was like he even told Jeff, who already knew about the fish, he was like, "There's fish in our fridge," and he's all pumped up about it. And
after he had already eaten them.
We already ate them, and he was like, "There's fish in the fridge."
And you're like, "No, they're not. They're in here,
we ate those
dude."
yesterday, dude.
Did he help catch them?
Well, that's the thing is like we have this. Jeff and I talked about this on the show actually a bunch, because I think it's really important, and I've been one of the results of like late coming into fishing and have someone be a mentor for me, and seeing why it works for other kids. And like, we're fortunate enough, we got a place, my wife's family's place on Lake St. Clair, and they got a break wall, and you can catch anything Lake St. Clair. You can catch almost any kind of freshwater fish you can get your hands on. And what we do, I bought a ton of rods. Everyone gets whatever rod they want. You throw it out in the water with a worm on a drop shot, you put a bell on it, and then you go play Frisbee or, go have a beverage or whatever. Yeah. Bell goes off, that thing goes for a ride down the break wall, and everyone's enjoying catching fish. And it's not
Everybody,
I'm doing all the knot tying. I'm doing all the baiting. I'm doing all that stuff. But like they get pumped about catching fish, and that's all now. Now he's like he wants to catch the fish. Now every morning when we're at the cottage, he wants me to get the kayak out so he can come
Let's
with
go
me and
for a
go catch
ride.
fish for 10, 20 minutes even sometimes, whatever he can handle. And it's more about make sure that he has a positive experience, whether or not catching fish. It's all about him having guy time or whatever, and then also just making sure that he has fun. Like once I can start seeing like he might be getting out, don't try and catch two more fish. Turn that boat around, go back inside, have a juice box, and make sure that he's having a good day.
Relax.
rocks and throw them in the water.
Yeah, change up the game 100%. Real quick, I wanted to call this out just so we didn't miss it, but the official Burly hype man _ aka _ Paul's improved clinch is back. He changed his name again.
He did change it again.
He changed it again. Dropped us that $5 super chat, so thank you so much, my friend. He does say, we are in the presence of a legend. What is up, good people? Yeah, Big P is there's a few suggestions I saw in chat earlier. I think Shaz said broken glass, and then somebody said if he doesn't fish frosted glass. Frosted glass, that was you. And then as long as it's not burning pee, we're good to go. All right, carry on.
So well, first of all, one of the questions I kind of was hoping to get to ask you is, what are your thoughts? And this is something that Jeff and I have started to kind of, as we've getting more and more into industry and have conversations with more and more folks. And like we were talking about Eric at BioBait, kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, eco-friendly plastics. Like you talk about protecting the resource, and you talk about, I mean, we're all losing plastics. There's no getting around it. We do, and that's not good for the waterways, and it's not great for the fish. And I kind of wanted to get your thought on that piece of the industry, which is growing and growing quickly.
Well, of course, that's the direction that we should go, because conserving the resource is one of the most important things we can do. We discussed a gentleman named Bob Lusk, who's the pond boss. He's the guy that helps everybody who's built a big lake and stocked it with bass and stuff. They know Bob Lusk because one of the most informative and one of the most formidable largemouth bass biologists and stuff, anybody in the world. So he's a great guy too. But he and I, back in, I guess it was 2009, we were talking at one of the classics. He and I were at one of the classics, and he says, Big O, what's going on? Of course, he lives close to me, and we've been friends for a long time. Big O, what's going on? I said, everything's going good, Bob. And I said, but we got a problem. He said, what do you mean we got a problem? I said, we're not. I said, we're abusing the resource. We're abusing these bass in a lot of these tournaments. I said, there's too many people that they're not taking care of the live wells, which, you have to do that, take care of the fish. And a lot of these fish are dying, and a lot of things are happening. It's just tough on the fish. And I said, we need to start these tournaments to where they've got marshals in the boat, or they've got this scale system that is, I said, that'll be the next billion-dollar industry, is somebody that has a foolproof scale on board every boat that takes a picture, weighs the fish down, all that, and you can't beat it if it's touched and you've tried to adjust it, or you've tried to do something. Everything's filmed and videoed and all this kind of stuff. And he said, yeah, that'd be good. And he said, but we better not talk about this too loud, or we'll be blackballed in this industry. And I said, Bob, you're right. I said, but we've got to do something. And I said, we've got to do something. We've got to take care of the resource, and we got to make it cool to take care of the resource and conserve the resource. Well, guess what? I don't think we were the first ones to think about this, because it wasn't but about 4 or 5 years later. And here we come with Major League Fishing. And what are they doing? They're making the resource the most important thing, the fish. And the fact is everything you talked about, Paul, about the plastics in the water and stuff like that. We need to do something and make everything biodegradable. The fact is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Is it 100% now? I don't know if it is or not, but we need to get there, and we need to get there as fast as we can. In fact, one of my dearest friends, he's gone now, is Phil Marks. He was Strike King's new products buyer for years. And he said, Big O, he says, I want you to take the helm on trying to find the best biodegradable stuff. We need to go biodegradable. And this was several years back. And sure enough, I go to checking. And I started looking, and sure enough, I find some. and and guess what? That company is now Bio Baits, you know. And,
Who we
but
just had on the show, good friend of the show. We love Eric Piker.
oh,
Yep.
he's a good kid. I love him. And actually, he got involved with that company later. But
Mm.
he's been, that particular industry is definitely a big part of the industry, and we need to move that direction as fast as we can, and we need to make sure that whatever we do is to put the resource first, because the fact is, in the fishing industry, just imagine if our children could go to these lakes and they could catch bass every time they go out there and maybe catch a whole lot of them. It would be really cool, wouldn't it? Well, you know what? The fact is if we quit abusing that resource, if we quit abusing those fish and we start taking care of them and start trying to treat them for the really wonderful resource that they are. And I'm big on that. I'm probably OCD about it, you know.
Mhm.
And I know a bunch of ways to keep fish alive. And I know a bunch of ways when they're hurt or they're injured. There's a lot of smart things to do. And I think, all the different, we've got chemicals to Sure Life and Stay Alive and all this kind of stuff. That's all awesome stuff. And the things that you can do with hydrogen peroxide and with a little bit of oxygen and even cola and things like that, carbonated stuff. And flip clips, my gosh, flip clips could be the most important thing that I've ever found out about. And if I don't have flip clips, I've got 1 ounce jigs and I hook them on the pec fins and the anal fins, and I get that big fish to where they're setting up right, like this in the water. Because if I bring them down from deep, bring them up from deep, and they're sitting there floating, and you put them in a live well, they're going to sit on their side, or they're going to sit there, and once they get upside down like that, good luck getting that fish alive. Put the flip clips on them, keep them in that live well, keep the aeration to them for extended length of time up to an hour, and then do that fish a favor. Release that fish right where you caught them.
Yeah.
Because if it's one of those great, big, majestic beauties, the fact is they don't swim all over the lake chasing shad. They don't get fat doing that. They live at a Walmart down there in the lake somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's a Walmart, and that is their Walmart. And all the shad and all the bait comes to them, and they sit there and eat. And any little bass comes, they eat him too. They eat everything. The most prolific eater in any lake is the biggest bass in the lake. And people say they're hard to catch, aren't they, Big O? I said, not really if you can find them. I said, they're hard to find, but once you find them, you can catch them because they're going to eat. They're eaters.
Yep.
I mean, think about it. You put a bunch of cakes and donuts and Twinkies on a table, and you push it out there in a park somewhere, and I guarantee you some people are going to come over and start jawing on it. And that's all you got to do. You find that Walmart. You find that Walmart, you get the right angle, you start pecking around there a little bit, you'll find them. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's great you said that because, and I fully want to call out that, like, by no means do I expect every company to just cut what they're doing and make something different. That's not the call to action. I mean, you got to keep the company viable so that they can actually make the change that you want to see in the industry. So I just want to be really clear about that. But I think it's awesome that you called that out. And I think people who start hunting or who do a lot of hunting, it's a lot easier for that person with that background to look at fishing and think, you know what, there's probably a better way. Because I mean, that is, as hunters, that's sort of the forefront of everything that we do. And I mean, we pay more money for tags, we pay more money for our licenses, we spend more time. I know that everyone thinks that they see a lot of people at the boat launch, and I know that people don't love seeing other people on the river or whatever, but like when you're a hunter, it's 10 times worse watching someone when you've been sitting for 6 hours and you're about to hit daylight and some guy walks 20 yards in front of your shooting lane. That's 100,000 times worse than having a guy cross, like having to leapfrog someone on a hole on the river. I mean, it's so hunters, it's a lot easier to say and see like protecting the resource is critical. I mean, it's critical. So I think it's good to see that in industry. I know you're not the only one, and I certainly again, not calling out anyone, but I would love to just hammer away at that because I do think it's a really big deal.
For sure, that's the direction that we need to go, and we can't get there. But we need to go there as fast as we can. We need to just keep pushing that direction. And granted, it's not there yet, and it's not quite there yet. But that doesn't mean that we back off. If for us to be really quality managers of what God's given us, the great outdoors, we need to manage that and try to be a little bit more, thoughtful about what we're doing out there. Every good ranch or every good hunting area is managed very well.
Mhm.
Every good fishing area needs to be managed very well. And for sure, trying to take care of them when it comes to what they eat and keeping our plastics in our boat and not in the water. Yeah, sometimes we can't help it. It falls in the water, and that's just the way it works. But at some point in the future, hopefully, we will make a difference. We'll make a huge positive impact, and I think it's due. And like I said, when I started looking for that, because Phil Marks asked me to, I was pleasantly surprised that there was several companies that are out there trying to do that. And people, I covered the world. I mean, I went to China, Japan. I went everywhere looking for what the best ideas and some of the best chemists give us some ideas, give us this, give us that. And actually, I saw the biobaits formula before it was biobaits,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and studied that in its when it was conceived, and so there's always room for growth, and there's always room to improve. Like we said earlier, what is, but what if is often and most always better than what is.
Yep.
Let's chase the best idea. Let's chase the best opportunity to care for things, to care for, not just the fish, but the outdoors. I mean, I think we try to do that. So let's keep going that direction.
I love it.
Man.
I like the momentum, man. So
It's
I want
a great
to.
message.
Dude, I'm gonna stop there because that's how good it was. So I'm not gonna cut us off. I'm not gonna cut us off. We talked about early in the show. Every week we do a giveaway with our sponsor, MONSTERBASS. So thanks to the folks at MONSTERBASS, we're gonna be able to give away yet another $25 gift card. And the way that we do this, the way that we do our giveaways, it's pretty fun. So I have a couple of. This started out as like a lightning round. Like while people were chatting in order to enter the giveaway in the chat room, we would ask some questions, and they started fast, but then it started to slow down. So now it's not a lightning round; it's like a slow rolling thunder round of questions. So I have some so they're fun questions. But while we're going through those, folks, if you want to be entered to win that $25 gift card, all you have to do is starting right now, just start chatting. Just type whatever you want in. As long as you say something, you're entered. No worries. Feel free to keep asking questions in chat while we're doing this, but we will give you, 5 or 10 minutes. We'll go through a couple questions with Steve, fun ones. And then at the end of those questions, what we're going to do is we're going to have our producer, Chaz. He is going to randomly select one of the comments, and that person will win that $25 gift card. What we need you to do when you hear your name called, if you're the winner, we need you to type your email into chat and press enter into the comments. No one else will be able to see it, just us, and we will email you that gift card. So we'll get you taken care of. So,
and I'll share it with everybody. Before we go into this, though, I do want to call out, because it's disappearing on my chat window here. Some Pennsylvanian. Welcome to the Burly Bunch Elite, and then the Chartreusers, and then the Snorlax crew. You upgraded twice. So thank you so much. Welcome aboard. That's awesome. And yeah, like Paul said, you guys are so awesome and well trained. Keep chatting away right now until we're done. And if you want to call it a question, I'll try to read it. Otherwise, we're just doing slow rolling thunder, or you can super chat. All right, let's do it.
All right. So one of our favorite questions to ask guests: when you're out fishing and you're wearing like a fishing shirt, whatever kind of fishing shirt you wear, do you like to have a hood on your fishing shirt, or do you not like to have a hood on your fishing shirt?
I don't wear a lot of hoods, but it depends on when. I'll wear the face mask and stuff sometime. Because, but I also wear a lot of the face goop that I have to put on. But I don't normally wear a hood. And it depends on if it's going to be really windy, if it's going to be cold, or if it's going to be raining and stuff like that. But I promise you, anytime I'm fishing, I've got rain gear in there that has a hood. Because been there, done that, and I don't plan on ever doing it again if I can keep from it. Here's another thing for all of us. It's just smart stuff. Carry garbage bags, good big garbage bags in your boat, because Yeah, I used to do that for people who didn't bring the rain gear, and I'd take these big garbage bags, and I promise you, I can make it. I can poke the hole in the middle and put the arms out here, cover them almost totally, and then put one around the hat and stuff like that, and make it a little bit. It looks like a cowboy hat when I get done, but it keeps them dry
and warm.
Because I've been fishing at times when it was cold out there and it starts raining and people don't have rain gear. You either call it right there, or you get them, get some plastic over them to keep them dry, or you're just a fishing trip.
Jeff and I both carry usually two different versions of water gear. We got the Frog Togs just in case, and then we got the real rain gear just in case too. Because as kayak fishermen, if it starts raining on you and you don't know what's coming, you ain't getting anywhere quick. You're in for a half an hour, even if you call it right there. So yeah, we've been there, done that.
It's dangerous to get too cold or to get too wet.
Yeah.
And because you make good decisions when you're a little bit more comfortable. When you're not comfortable and you're getting truly hosed by the rain, you can make mistakes, and you don't make mistakes. That's when you really got to be careful.
That's when you see those silly pictures 100%. On Instagram of someone with a EWG hook in their thumb.
Or just submerged kayak. Like,
exactly. Or their truck's backed up 6 feet down the ramp. Absolutely.
You shiver so hard, then you lean over the side of your yak, and now everything is wet.
So that's a in general no hood. I'm taking the W on that one.
First of all, I feel like you're just choosing guests now by prefacing. You're just going like, all right, so we'd love to have you on the show. By the way, hood or no hood? No hood? Is that I can get you in next week? Hood? No. Get out of town. We have a rivalry
Jeff
growing.
And I go back and forth on this one all the time. I almost never.
I wear a hood.
Jeff lives with the hood, so we go back and forth. Next one. What's your fishing footwear of choice when you're on the boat?
It's normally some type of I have two different styles, Crocs, and hey, guess what? I wear socks and Crocs.
Heck yeah.
I wear socks and Crocs, and then it starts getting wet. I take those socks off.
There you go. Convertible.
Dude, you're in the brotherhood, man.
Hey, and that's the way I do it. Socks and Crocs are about as good a thing. There's a lot of videos I've ever done, a lot of shows I had Crocs on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We
There's nothing wrong with Crocs. There's really not.
There's a lot right. There's a lot right with Crocs is what there is. 100%. Good answer. Here's a good one for you. What is your favorite bait that you did not design?
Ooh.
Favorite bait that I didn't design.
He's thinking real hard.
Exactly. 1 ounce Odom 1 ounce spinnerbait.
What color?
Chartreuse and white.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good answer.
1 ounce spinnerbait, chartreuse and white. It's got number 7 willow blades on it. Yeah.
Like a couple satellite dishes.
It's a helicopter.
And here's another thing. I like hammered blades.
Oh.
More often than smooth blades. I like hammered blades.
Nice.
And but that's my favorite bait. And I can't say it's Odom spinnerbait. When Odom first come out with this 1 ounce spinnerbait, he had he had 1.5 and 3/4 and a 1 ounce and 5/8 and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, his 3/4 ounce spinnerbait, which is it's a hammer, but I don't have any because I don't want to throw it. But the head of it is shaped identical to his 3/4 ounce jig. Odom makes some of the best jigs in the world. But then his 1 ounce head was flat, and it was kind of, it's a flat head, in perpendicular like this. The head was flat like this and a little bit deeper and stuff, but I couldn't flip it. And I flip spinnerbaits, and flipping spinnerbaits is one of the best freaking techniques that there is on spawning fish on 45-degree angle banks. It's a hammer. And because what you do, I'll talk about the flipping technique. You flip it up there, and just like you thumb it a jig or a bait or something, and you just let it just touch that water. As soon as it touches that water, when you thumb it, you just slide it in there, feather it in, that spinnerbait, and then lift that rod tip, just lift it up like this. And what you do, as soon as the spinnerbait hits, it may hit on its side. It may hit upside down. You don't know when you're flipping it. It'll hit, but when it hits, as soon as it touches that water, you lift that rod tip like this, and it'll upright that spinnerbait, and then you kill it. You upright it like this, you flip it, feather it, lift the rod tip, and then kill it. And when you kill it, you just let that spinnerbait go whoop, 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 right down in front of those fish. And if they don't smoke it, then just start, like I said, you kind of drag
Carolina.
you're dragging it all the way, and they eat it. Because spawning fish are in shallow water. They may not be in the 3-foot water that you just flipped it to. They may not be in the 5-foot water you just flipped it to. But they're going to be between that 5-foot water and that 12-foot water out there. They're going to be somewhere in there. So be out there in about that 18-foot, and then take that flip that you get. Instead of firing a spinnerbait up there and boosh, some fish want that if there's a lot of wind, a lot of waves. But if it's a pretty finessey situation, just finesse it up in there and let it drop, and then start reeling. You'll be amazed at how many giant fish you're going to catch flipping a spinnerbait in some trees that may be 6 and 8 foot right on the shoreline, and then they're spawning right behind it, but they're not out there spawning right now. They're up in the trees waiting for the males. And all. You just flip it up in there and then just let it helicopter down like that, and here it goes. I mean, it's on. I love it.
I'm never gonna fish a spinnerbait the same way.
Your spinnerbait had a flat head like this, and not a good round head or a good teardrop head like his 3/4 did. I told him, I said, Odom, this is about 15 years ago. I said, Odom, I said, why don't you change that spinnerbait? I said, I can't flip it. I said, it goes down like this, it goes down like this. And I said, it gets hung up too easy and all this kind of stuff. Oh, we need your spinner change it. I said, yeah, you do. I said, you made your 3/4 the same as your jig. And I said, you need to make that 1 ounce the same as the jig. He said, if you ever meet Odom, that's the guy. He's one of the most interesting guys in the whole world. Anyway, so finally I talked him into it. He changed that spinnerbait to that 1 ounce, and he ain't looked back since.
Nice.
He said, big old. He says, and every now and then somebody will say, Odom, why don't you make him flat-sided spinnerbait heads? Because Big O won't let me. He told me I had to have this and that. But guess what? He sells us 50 times more of these than he ever did before. Of course,
Wow.
He's popular. His spinnerbait, it's amazing. Just amazing. Yeah.
I'm about to go load up the cart. I'm never gonna look at a spinnerbait the same way again.
I've got a good friend that fishes South Texas a lot. He fishes Falcon. He fishes Choke Canyon. He fishes a lot of these big fish lakes and stuff. He travels into Mexico and stuff. He just called me the other day and said, Big O. I said, yeah. And he says, I just wrote Odom a check for $2,700. And I said, what do you, I said, you get a bunch of jigs? And he said, all spinnerbaits.
Noted.
Wow.
Jeff is literally Googling right now.
I'm getting all of them.
Several times. I promise you, a big spinnerbait in big fish water is one of the most underutilized baits out there. I mean, it is a real tool.
Yeah.
But you don't just, a lot of people just chunk them on. It's you finesse. You got a big spinnerbait like that, you finesse it over it. I like to finesse it.
You just said the code word for Jeff and I. You said finesse. We're already in.
Magic
We're
word.
already in.
Finesse.
We're already in. Power finesse
finesse.
all day.
I've done shows. In fact, I did some shows for the Bass Art Group down in Mexico City, or down in Monterrey, Mexico. And they said, Big O, we want to do a show with you. And I said, yeah. And he said, what kind of show do you want to do? And I said, well, spinnerbait bite's pretty good. Let's go. So sure enough, we went out there, and I mean, it was like hammer time, and it was all exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Of course, I know where all of these little haunts are, So boy, we fire that spinnerbait out, and you can see us doing like this. We fire it out there, and we just let it go until it gets to the bottom. Then we set the reel and start towing it like this and like this. Wow, great! And we just 10-pounders and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going, now this is a spinnerbait show right here, boys.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
All right,
so good.
The folks are getting restless in chat. So Chaz, I think we're gonna ask you right now to run the giveaway. So everybody listen up. If you hear your name when Chaz says whoever won, We need you to say, "Ha, I'm here," and then type your email into the chat window, send it so that we have it. No one else will see it. So, Chaz,
Let's do
without further
this.
ado, run them.
What? He just joined. What? Oh my gosh. He or she. I don't know who you are, but that is what a freaking like welcome aboard day.
Chaz, did they hear you? Chaz, did they hear you? Okay, good.
Some Pennsylvanian. And it's also on Nightbot's got it too. Good Nightbot. Good Nightbot.
All right. So what we need, some Pennsylvanian. We're waiting on you to type in your email. While we're doing that, I saved one question for Big O, the last one. So while we're waiting for this person to confirm.
Some Pennsylvanian said here. All right, type in your email. Yep, type in your email now. Nobody will see it but Chaz, and he'll send it to me. So
last question. If you could only get one color to fish with for the rest of the time, what would it be?
Blue craw.
Blue craw? Is that like a black and blue?
No, it's a green pumpkin blue swirl. It's got a pearl blue swirl and it's green pumpkin. Yeah. And you know, we're now making a green pumpkin. We're making a blue craw red flake. And red flake could, you know, I haven't fished it enough to know, but all I know is blue craw is, and the reason I like it so much, you know, we talked about Kevin. Kevin's a heck of a fisherman. You know, people think he just crankbait, spinnerbait. No, that guy can fish. He can fish anything, anytime, anywhere. He knows colors. Yeah. He knows everything. He's a finesse guy. He's a power guy. He can do it all. Yeah. And he used to have me shooting these daggum blue craws for him at the time because striking wasn't making them. And he go, can you shoot me some more of those? And I'm going, you know, I can, but I'm not sure I want to because we need to get that color in the deal, you know. But that was a laminated blue craw, but he wanted it swirled. So we got this blue craw swirl, and now we got the blue craw swirl. Now we got a lot of swirls. We got purple swirl, green purple swirl, and there's a lot of them. And I like the swirl colors too because I just like them. But blue craw would definitely be my number one color. If I could only fish with one bait for the rest of my life, it'd be one of my baits. It'd be the space monkey. And the reason the space monkey is because the space monkey represents not just a creature bait, but it represents a craw. And you can do anything with it. It's big enough profile. You can actually finesse it on the top. You can Carolina rig it. You can do anything you want to. And you can cut it down. You can leave it the main size. You can flip it, pitch it. You can trail jigs with it. In fact, Jordan Lee and Matt Lee, when they were rookies, they came at a classic. They came in. They said, "Hey, Big O, man, you catch a lot of giant fish." And I said, "Yeah, but you kick a lot of college butts." And they said, "Yeah." And so we got to talk, and they said, "Man, and I said, "Hey, congratulations! I want to congratulate you on getting, you know, being pros with us." And I said, "That's awesome." I said, "Anything I can do to help you, I'll be sure to help you." And they said, and Jordan looks at me and he said, "Hey, Big O, do me a favor." I said, "Yeah." He said, "What's your favorite bait?" The ones that of all of yours. And I told him space monkey. And I told him why. And I said, "Jordan, don't you live down there in Gunnersville?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Don't you like to fish a jig quite a bit?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want to size up and catch bigger fish?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Put that space monkey on the back." I said, "Now you got a 7-inch profile jig." And I said, "It's already got the bulk of the skirt and all this kind of stuff, but you got a 7-inch profile. It's a big old mouthful. I mean, that's a Big Mac deal right there, you know." And
yeah.
I said, so upsize when you know you're in big fish water. I said, "Go ahead and upsize." I said, "It don't hurt you a bit."
Yeah.
So what does he do? He starts upsizing, and I don't know what he's doing and all this kind of stuff. Never heard about it until he wins the classic down at Conroe. And what was he doing? He's taking that big mop jig that he had, and he was putting a full-length space monkey on the back. And he calls me and he said, "Big O," he says, "I did it." And I said, "Yeah, you did, boy. You kicked their butt." And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "You sure are lucky." And he said, "Huh?" And I said, "If that engine hadn't shut down on you," I said, "you wouldn't have been stuck in the best spot on the lake." Good spot. And I said, and it was good because you sat down and you dialed it in. He was on the number one point flat of a spawning cove, the number one spawning cove on the lake. And all he did was he went around there until he found the little rocks, the little this that made the difference. And that's the reason I said earlier, when you think you're not catching fish, if you're not catching them as much, slow down. And then when you think you're fishing too slow, slow down even more. And Jordan, I'm so proud of the kid. I love the kid. I love him, Matt. I love all these young kids that are coming up nowadays. I don't care who they fish with or who their sponsors are. There's a bunch of good kids out there today. And I like it because those kids work hard, bust their butts, and trust me, you know, they always say living the dream. Well, guess what, guys and dolls? Those guys work their butts off. They spend 250 plus days. They're road warriors. They're driving. They're on the roads. Yeah, they fish and all this kind of stuff, but then they got to go promote and they go this.
Yep.
Great life to live, to be a pro in the fishing industry, but I want to tell you something, it's hard work. So that passion, preparation, and perseverance is what will serve you to be a real good pro.
Guys, you just got the 3 Ps for the third time, so that you know that's what we're leaving you with. But you also heard Space Monkey, number 1 bait in Blue Craw. Like, what, I don't know what else you really
flipping 1 ounce spinner baits with helicopter wings.
That's right. You got 4. You got 4 knock 'em dead tips. I don't really know what more you could possibly ask for, Steve. This was legitimately a treat. I know we stole your card, and we told you, if you give me your card, we're gonna wrangle you into the show. So we made good on our word, but you doubled it up and did double duty good for us. So we appreciate it so very much. Thank you so much.
Really fun.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you so much. And look at this, a super chat on the way out. This is one for the road from Ramon Outdoors, $2 super chat. So much good advice in this live. Big O is a legend. Yes, absolutely. And you guys should write custom thank you letters to him later on, just so you know, and splash some glitter in there. Maybe some green pumpkin blue swirl, some blue craw would be really nice. You know he likes it, and he doesn't want to inject his own plastics anymore. But Big O, thank you so much for being on the show today. And thank you all for watching. We'll be back next Thursday with another live. You guys are awesome. Be sure to subscribe, smash a like, ring that notification bell. And real quick before we get out of here, Steve, where can they find you if they want to follow your amazing epic journeys all the time and get more awesome advice?
Well, we've got, on Facebook, we've got a Rage Tail, we've got a Rage Tail place. There's also Steve, I have a profile. Yeah, some people. Pennsylvania guy, we have people in Pennsylvania that run all of our social media for here. They take care of it. They do a wonderful job. If anybody has any questions for me, all they have to do is ask at Rage Tail, send a message, or to send to the Steve Parks. If you have questions or something, let me know, man. I've got a telephone. I'm up 20 hours a day. I don't mind calling people and talking to them. So I'm not a stick in the mud, I promise you. And so if anybody has any questions, you want to follow me on anything, come to the Facebook, Rage Tail Steve Park, or Rage Tail or Steve Parks page. And I think they're on Instagram and other stuff like that.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, you guys heard it here first. And take some of this advice to the water, and we wish you all the best of luck. Get somebody new on the water. Take care of your waterways, and I don't know, maybe go catch a big. But you guys have been awesome. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Chaz, go ahead and take us out of here.
Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm sad to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left
my feet and forced me down a dead-end street when all I had went up in flames, burning only dark remains. I cover up every part of my skin, oh, 'cause I don't like the person within, oh. I know I'm the one to blame. All I can do is take the shame, oh. Do is say goodbye, refuse to question why. I'm too sad to say I'm sorry, so lie and pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day.